Hi everybody, I'm back. This is going to be our second and third video sessions. Today, now that we've covered the basics of how a spreadsheet works, I'm going to talk about two things because at Dean College we not only want to arm you with technical business skills, but we also want to make sure that you are indeed aware of what it means to be a business professional. And that means two things. Number one, we have to do things efficiently. As long as we're not sacrificing anything, quality and accuracy, we want to be efficient. And that means if a shortcut presents itself, there's absolutely nothing wrong with taking it. Okay, secondly, we always want to make sure that we set things up to fly. We want things to look good. And that means formatting. Okay, so we're going to cover one dynamic, as you can see on the worksheet up here. We're going to talk about replicating. When we did our worksheet previously, we typed in all of our formulas, all of our math operations, and that's not efficient. Okay, so if we can take a shortcut, and Excel gives you many shortcuts, we're going to take them, and I'm going to show you some of that today. And then later on in a second video, which will essentially, with mastery, with proficiency, give you your first badge in this program, we're going to show you something about the basics of formatting. Again, Excel is very powerful, so I'm going to cover the basics, and later on in a future video, we'll cover some more elegant features that can really make your spreadsheets and reports really shine and pop. Okay? So what I've done here, friends, is I've taken a couple of personal elements. What I did is I said my personal budget for 2017. I want to create a budget month by month for all of next year. Okay? So I said to myself, what's my net income from my job? I'm not going to worry about gross income and taxation. I'm going to keep it very simple. I'm going to say, what is my paycheck, basically, from what it is that I do. Secondly, as you can see, I also added a line, income from savings, because I am going to save. We're going to be very financially and fiscally aware, and we're always going to pay ourselves first and save money. So let's always make sure we're doing that. All right, so then underneath in this section here that I'm highlighting for you, I listed several expenses. This is very simplified because I'm sure that, like myself, you must have many more expenses than this. But this is only an example, so I don't want to get too tedious here. So I kept it to rent, food, clothing, insurance, medical, car, savings, always be saving, and other. So these are inflows, and these are outflows. Okay, so now I want to create a budget for 12 months, and I want to total up the entire year. I showed you how easy it is to do that in our very first video, but we're going to take a few shortcuts, and I'm going to show you how to make it much more efficient, number one. And then secondly, I'm going to show you how to make it look better, because whenever you present data to your boss, you are going to want it to be professional, and Excel places that right into your hands. Okay, so let's do that together. Now, what I'm going to do is I've set this spreadsheet up. I'll tell you how I set this spreadsheet up to look the way it does in another lecture. But right now, since these figures are going to be for the month, I'm going to say, let's call this January. There we are. My system is a little slow here. Then we're going to do February, March, April, May, and I'm just going to make you bear with me for 1 second because I want to do the entire thing with you here so I can demonstrate to you how quick and easy it is once you have some basic mastery of the power that Excel places in your hands. There's December, and now I want to put the total year 2017 right there, okay? Now again, we're going to make this look prettier later on. We're going to make it look professional. But right now, it's all about the numbers, okay? All right, we'll deal with replicating and formulas first and the formatting later. So now let's come down here. What I'd like to do is I would like to say I'm planning on making $1,900 a month for the first 6 months of the year, okay? And then I'll get a raise. So you know what I'm going to do? I could type $1,900 in each one of these cells for the next 6 months. But now look at that. Look at that. See that little cross right there? When I put it on the lower right corner of that cell, C6, it becomes a narrower cross. And that means I'm ready to do something with it. Excel knows that. So I'm going to left click and hold it down. All right? Hold it down. We're going to drag and drop. So I'm going to drag it across. Bear with me. Let's try that again. March, April, May, June. Let's stop at June. Notice how the cells are highlighting. I'm going to release the button now and watch what happens. Bam, there it is. $1,900 appears all the way across. Now, my boss says, you do good work for me for 6 months and I will give you another $100 or enough money in your pay so you take home $100 in July. So I'm going to type $2,000 and take my boss at his or her word. Okay? So in July, I now am up to $2,000. I'm going to do the same thing. Now watch this. I'm going to go to that lower right corner. I'm going to hold down my left mouse button and drag it across all the way to December, and there you have it. How easy that is to replicate. All right. Now total 2017, since I'm all the way out here, I'm going to say, let's sum up the entire 12 months. Now, way up here, we call this the taskbar, if you're familiar with Word or PowerPoint, which I know you are. Well, Excel has the same thing, okay? So keep that in mind. But I'm going to focus here on what we call the toolbar, okay? Now, see that sigma? Again, we dealt with that in our first lecture. I'm going to click on that, and I'm going to highlight where I want to start summing from and end my summing to. That's not proper English, but you know what I mean. I just ended a sentence with a preposition, and your English professor will tell you that's not good, okay? Okay, let's try that one more time. Something went slightly wrong there. Remember, anyone can make a mistake. The beautiful part about Excel is if you do make a mistake, it doesn't matter. You can always go back and fix it. It's very hard to break anything. By the way, let me interject. Whenever you're dealing with Excel or any computer program, please make sure you save your work, okay? I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to come up here, and as you're accustomed to with Word or PowerPoint, I'm going to focus on that little save. You'll notice that I've already pre-named this spreadsheet when I set it up for you. Badging Worksheet 2, December 14, 16. I like to date my files, okay? So I'm going to come over here to save. Just take a second and click on that, all right? And you can do the same thing with your keyboard. There are many shortcuts, okay? But I'm going to use the icon that they gave me. Okay, so the total amount of my take-home pay for 2017 is expected, it's budgeted, to be $23,400. I'm going to come down here and say my income from savings, I think it will be $100 a month for the entire year. So I'm just going to carry that number all the way out by doing that left click, hold, move to the right, release, and there's 100 all the way. Okay, so you've seen one aspect of replicating. I'm about to show you another one. Let's look at what's in cell 06. See where it says way up here in the contents bar, as we call it, equals sum C6 to N6, okay? If you remember from our first lecture, we call that sum a function, and anything in the parens following the word sum is going to be the start and the end of the range that Excel will total for you. That's what we already did in 06. Now what I'm going to do is I want to do the same thing here in 07. What I can do is I can put another function in this cell and do what I did on line 6, or I can type it in and say take everything from the start to the end and sum it. But you know what? Here it is, efficiency. In business, we want to be efficient. We want to take shortcuts. So here's another aspect of replicating. I want to copy what's in 06 and put it in 07, but I want it to refer to everything that's on line 7, not what's on line 6. So I'm going to grab that lower right corner, left click and hold, drag it down, and there it is. 12 months of $100 a month does equal 1,200. And on line 6, we sum C6 to N6, the cells, the contents of those cells. But in cell 07, it's summing up C7 through 9-7. That's basic replication. Okay? All right. Now what I'm going to do is I want to say total income. How's that? So that means I want to take in my cash inflow from all sources, and that is line 6 and line 7. How much I get from my job and how much I get from savings. So I'm going to come up here and click on that sigma to sum. And now look how smart Excel is. It thinks I want to sum what's right above it. Okay, we saw that in my first lecture. So let's go ahead and let it. It thinks I want to sum up and place in this box what's in C6 and what's in C7. I'm going to hit enter, or you could left click your mouse, and there's my total of 2,000. Now I want it to do that for every single month of the remaining 11 months. So what do? Friends, you grab that lower right corner, hold down your left mouse button, and drag it all the way out for all 12 months. How about a bonus? I'm going to do it for my total column too. I'm going to let go of the button, and there it is. Okay? And the math adds down. If you sum it across, the math will add across as well. Okay? So that's an initial start, an initial view to replicating. Now the numbers, I'd like the numbers to look a little bit better than that, but you know what? I'm fine with that for now. We'll get to that later. Let's go down to expenses, and let's put in total expenses. Okay, pardon me while I grab some coffee here. And let's start by summing up all our expenses. And then you ultimately want to see how much your income exceeds your expenses by. So down here, we'll put total, how about if we call it total profit? Because if your income exceeds your expenses, you have profited. It's simply going to be the excess of your income, your inflows, over your expected outflows, okay? Remember, this is a budget. We don't know this for sure. What do? We come up here and save. Obviously, we don't want to lose our work, so I click on Save Again. So I'm going to come up here, Auto Sum, and look at that. It's highlighting everything and thinking that I want the total of C11 to C18. Yes, I do. And I want to put it in this box. I hit Enter. There it is. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, I did this one a little differently than at first. I did it line by line further up, friends. But now I've got a total for this column for January, and I have the individual amounts. I'm going to assume that none of my expenses change during the year. I'm going to carry those numbers all the way up. Okay? So what I do is I drag and drop. I'm left clicking and holding to highlight, just like you would in most Microsoft programs. Now that it's highlighted, oh, you're going to love this. I'm going to grab that lower corner, see it turns to a narrow cross, and I'm going to left click, hold, drag all the way across and get it all done at once. Now watch this, friends. There it is. I'll even bring it to the total column. I release the button, and no, I can't do that. I cannot do that in the total column, can I? No, because I want to put total functions in that column. So that was an honest mistake on my part. I beg your pardon. So how do I get rid of this? I'm just going to highlight it like you do with any Microsoft program. I'm going to hit the delete key. It vanishes. Everything that was highlighted vanishes. Now you want to handle that one very carefully because you don't want to accidentally highlight something only to hit delete and then see something really bad happen. This is why you must always keep multiple copies of files. Okay? I've been saving everything under this one file name, but if you change this around, play with it, experiment with it, okay? I will be posting a copy of this to our course. Then make sure you save an untainted copy or any copies that you make with changes of your own. So if you damage anything, you can always go back and fix everything. Now what I will do is I'm going to total across all 12 months and place the total here. I've got a couple of ways to do it. I can do another sum like I did up here, but this time it would be for row 11. Okay? Or I want you to watch this. I'm going to click that. I just left click that. That is cell 06. I'm going to right click. Now you're going to be familiar with this from your other dealings with Microsoft. Now look, it gives you copy, paste, cut, delete, okay? I'm going to click on copy. and I'm going to click now in my destination cell. I'm going to right click again. All right, now as they say in Microsoft, that formula from cell O6 is on my clipboard. Okay, it's somewhere in the computer's memory. Okay, so I'm now going to click on paste. All right, now look what it did. It took the contents of this cell. Okay, hold on please, don't want to do that. Okay, it took the contents of this cell, sum C6 to N6, and it automatically assumed I wanted to do the same thing, but for cell C11 through N11. Now we have a name for that. It is called, all right, a relative formula. Now we're going to override that later on because you might not want it to assume everything is the same on this line. You might want to say, I still want it to say C6 to N6. So there are ways to override this. So this is called, what we just did, a relative address. Okay? We'll look at alternatives later. Okay, now I want this to total all the way down. I want to take the sum of C11 through N11 and have that happen through every line all the way to C19 through N19. I left click on that cell. Bear with me. I've got a very sensitive mouse here. Okay, so I'm going to click on that cell. I'm going to grab that lower right corner and I'm going to drag all the way down, release, and there is the sum of each line, ladies and gentlemen. And there is the total of all expenses for the entire year. Okay, that's replicating at its best. Let's do one more thing. Let's calculate the excess of our income over expenses. I hit the equal sign or the plus sign. Either one will work. I'll use the equal sign. All right. And now my arrows are free. I'm right in the middle of a cell. I'm editing a cell, as you can see. Okay. You can see that that cell is, it's raised off the grid a little bit. It's got a little shadow under it. Okay. So the cursor is blinking. It's waiting for me to enter something. I can type in an address, in this case C9, or I can use my arrows. Watch this. Beg your pardon? Okay, C9, I'm going to say subtract what's in, I'm sorry, that's C8, not C9. My bad there. Okay, I'm going to come up here and say subtract what is in C19. C8 minus C19. I'm going to hit the enter key. $145. Okay, so my income exceeded my expenses by 145 bucks. I want it to do that for every single month, so I'm going to left click on that little corner, the lower right corner. I'm going to drag that right across all the way, including the total. Now I'm going to let go of the left button. Okay, and it looks like I made out. My income was $24,600 for the year. My expenses were $22,260 for the year. So I personally profited by $2,340. All right, I'm going to come all the way back here. I'm going to give you another example after, but I'm going to break for a moment and give you a chance to play with this, okay? So I'm going to save this. I'm going to pause my recording program, and please try playing with some of these numbers on your own. You can change anything, okay? You can change your food to $250 a month if you all of a sudden feel like you might want to be anticipating a little bit more hunger, okay? So we'll call it quits there, and I'll be right back. Take care.